All right, let's talk about Mike Evans. Mike Evans, the player who many feel will be a future Hall of Famer one day, kind of most known for his 1,000-yard streak, where every year he's been in the league, he has had at least 1,000 yards, which is really just a crazy way to, crazy that you've been able to be on the field that much to let it happen and be effective enough to make that work. But certainly is starting to get up there in age. The Buccaneers did still decide to pay him, but I think the question is just, how much longer will he be an effective player for them? How good can he be? How good is he still right now? I think the answer is he's still really good right now, and so that's what we're going to talk about once we get into the film. But before we do, just wanted to mention that I have a movie channel. If you like movies, check out the link in the description below, Jackson Kruger Movies, if you're interested in that. Some movie reviews, things like that, if it seems like it's your kind of thing. It's a different kind of film study, but yeah, check that out if you're interested. And anyway, let's just talk some Mike Evans. This play is kind of a great Mike Evans play, I feel like, where it's going to be zone coverage, and you see the route that he's running, trying to get into a gap in coverage. Okay, simple enough. When this play happens, well, okay, so he's off screen for a second. What was he doing there? Well, we'll get to that in a second. But you see that the Bears player has fallen down. Great situation for Evans. And this is part of the benefit of a guy like Evans, right? Is for Baker Mayfield, you can, Evans is tall enough, you can kind of just throw it up and throw it over the defensive back. Evans is probably going to make the grab. And now Evans is in open space. You're going to see Evans do a pretty decent job here, actually, with getting yards after the catch, which has never been his selling point. I have to pause it just for a second due to copyright reasons before I resume. But you see, he does a pretty good job in open space, picks up a ton of yards, gets inside the 10. Good stuff there. But for me, all that stuff is fun, right? Him getting open is fun, but you're probably wondering, okay, yeah, but what happened when he was off screen? What was going on there? How did he get so open? Well, let's show this angle to explain what happened. So you see him first, good route running, kind of faking as though he's going towards the left, actually going more towards his right, and then at this point, he's in position to try and get the ball. But here's the situation. I think to kind of set up what I'm about to say, first I have to explain what counts as pass interference and what doesn't count as pass interference. Because to me, there is no better player in football at getting away with as much contact as possible without getting flagged as Mike Evans. Keep in mind what pass interference is. A lot of people think it's, you can't create contact. That's not true. If someone is in the way of the ball, you are allowed to run through them if you're trying to catch the ball. That's totally allowed. The issue is when you're just creating contact without trying to play the football, or you're creating contact with the intention of trying to disrupt your opponent from being able to catch the football. Here, Evans is going for the football. You see him run through the defensive back, and let's be honest, give a little push at the end there. That's, to me, pass interference. That's an illegal play. He pushed off a bit too far. The creating contact part was fine, but because basically 80% of that was legal contact, and then he gives the little push at the end, that's why the ref didn't call it. That's essentially his trick to getting away with what he's able to get away with, is he mostly does legal contact, and a lot of times even will just have legal plays like this, but then isn't afraid to push off a little bit too, knowing that refs usually give offensive players the benefit of the doubt. To me, I'm saying this as a positive. I think it's a good thing. I think it's, if every player to some degree gets away with what they can get away with, Evans is just really good at it. And there's also stuff like this, which the reality is, I wanted to show this play because it's a one-on-one matchup against Marshawn Lattimore, the guy who is, people often talk about has Evans's number, but when Evans is in one-on-one situations, usually that actually isn't really the case. Like, watch how on this one, you see Evans kind of sell as though he's going over the middle, but once he cuts, Mayfield's getting the ball in a hurry, and you see there's a good amount of separation right here. This is something Evans does because he is such a downfield threat, and you have to respect him so much that when he cuts so quickly, he's usually able to get pretty open, even against guys who play him well, like Lattimore. As you see, Mayfield gets the ball there, and Evans able to go up and make the grab, and because it's Lattimore and Evans, there's a little bit of extra stuff at the end there, but again, it's to show that really Evans is the kind of guy that you just can't leave one-on-one. A big part of why the Saints typically play Evans well is because they never leave Evans one-on-one. This play was an exception. But then there's also stuff like this, which is, so it's a one-on-one matchup here. Evans going up one-on-one against an Atlanta player. And Atlanta, not being stupid here, they're being smart, two safeties are deep, which is kind of that's just the way you play Tampa Bay. I mean, teams have been doing this for years at this point. It's just you put two safeties deep that essentially neutralizes Evans and forces them to kind of work more over the middle, which they just haven't been as good at, even with the Brady years. Evans is running a go route, so you think this would be a bit of an issue, but again, just because there's two safeties deep doesn't mean you can't fire one down the field. Like, watch how when this happens, sometimes safeties don't get over the way maybe you think that they should. Like, I think part of it is, oh, well, two safeties deep, a go route isn't happening, which is why sometimes it's still good to try it and see if this works. And you see, again, it's hard to blame that Atlanta corner for being so far off. He is very far off, but at the same time, you almost have to look at this a little bit and be like, well, okay, yeah, I get it, but you had safety help. You're going up against Mike Evans. Like, getting burned down the field is almost something you're like expecting to have happen. You just hope there's a safety there. Still not ideal to get burned by this much, though. Also, beautiful throw from Mayfield. Evans makes the grab, gets into the end zone for a touchdown. And again, it's the threat of those types of plays. It's not even just the fact that he makes that play, but the fact that he can make those plays is just as valuable for Tampa Bay, because it forces defenses to have to play certain types of defenses, which is what allows you to game plan and figure stuff out, which you saw Dave Canales do a pretty good job of once you kind of realized, hey, teams are playing one coverage against us. Let me start doing stuff that can help beat those types of coverages. There's also stuff like this, which is Evans has a one-on-one matchup. This is a really huge play in the playoff game against the Detroit Lions, as the Buccaneers were getting nothing going offensively, really outside of Mike Evans, who you see on the screen had 68 yards up until this point, but also had a drop. Something I could have brought up in the video. Will drop some. I think that's just the thing that we know at this point. It's definitely true. But anyway, on this, again, one-on-one matchup, which is probably not the best idea, you see Evans just getting the separation that you kind of know he's going to get. And one underrated aspect is getting chemistry is really, I think, an important part of these deep shots. And I feel like Evans has gotten chemistry with every player he's played with. Like, Josh McCown and him had good chemistry downfield. Jameis Winston had good chemistry, even though he would sometimes miss those downfield shots. But he would tend to be pretty good with Evans. And then, Ryan Fitzpatrick was good with him. Brady, of course, and Mayfield. You're going to see it here. Really good throw and really good grab from Mike Evans. This downfield stuff is just, it's at times deadly, really. It really is. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of my thoughts. Like, listen, again, if you know this channel, I'm a Tampa Bay fan, so I'm a bit biased here. Definitely someone who I enjoy watching, but I really do feel like, in many ways, this offense does run through him. And there's a reason why. I mean, I just think that you need an elite option to be an effective passing offense. Like, there is no effective passing offense doesn't have an elite option. It doesn't have to be a wide receiver one. It could be like Travis Kelce with the Chiefs, but usually it's a wide receiver one. And I think that if Mike Evans had left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I just think that this team looks completely different. So I'm definitely glad that he's staying here, as I think the team's going to be really effective because of him. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Evans and what he brings to the table. Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on him? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.